I'm a parenting advisor and coach for autism, developmental delay, and ADHD. Several times I interacted with you as a guest, but today I am a host with two highly expert people in their field. One is Dr. Shweta Nair, who is developmental pediatrician, and another is Dr. Anjana Barot, who is occupational therapist. So, before begin with our today's session, let me talk two words about BabyChakra, as BabyChakra is India's largest pregnancy and parenting platform. So I believe lot many parents, expecting parents, and experienced parents are our followers, and they love our content, what we are sharing in our BabyChakra app. So, we try to connect parents with experts who bring valuable information and research based information to all of us. So, today's topic is very, very important, especially after festival season, because in these days, kids are not in the routine. So, today's topic is about how to best provide parental support to kids with ADHD. I believe lot many knows what is the meaning of ADHD. ADHD stands for attention deficit hyper disorder in kids. So as everybody knows that no matter how many generation we get old, no one has the ace of art of parenting, and we being a parent try our best whatever we are perceived as a good parenting. But does it really help our kid with underlying mental health conditions? So that's why our experts are here today to explain how we can handle our kids with ADHD with warmth and purpose. So I will introduce Dr. Shweta, our developmental pediatrician, and Anjana Barot, our occupational therapist. So, ma'am, could you please tell something about yourself? So, Dr. Shweta, please tell something about your experience.
Good morning to all. I'm Dr. Shweta Nair. I'm a practicing developmental pediatrician in Navi Mumbai. So basically, I meet a lot of children starting from, say, infancy, right up to adolescence, teenage age group, children with neurobehavioral conditions, developmental conditions, autism, learning difficulties, cerebral palsy, ADHD, which is today's topic of discussion. So how to we basically strategize with parents, how to help them work around kids, how we can provide best therapies so as to enable the child to be independent. That is the goal as a parent, as a doctor, as a therapist, basically to make the child independent and self-reliant.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And please, Dr. Anjana Barot, tell something about yourself.
So, good morning, everyone. And this is Dr. Anjana Barot. I'm a practicing occupational therapist in Chennai right now. And yes, I have been practicing since past 22 years.
Wow.
So, been seeing children right from, as Shweta ma'am mentioned, that okay, it is right from infancy to adolescence and teens that we see the children with various disabilities. It's not just one, it's various. Out of them, one is ADD, ADHD. Today we are going to talk about ADHD, which is one of the major, I would say, concern in parents these days. Parents just come up with a question: is my child having ADHD? Can you just help us? I think he or she is going into that phase of ADHD because they've read a lot on internet, do not have adequate information as to what is actually ADHD, and they just jump into a conclusion because the child is just running amok in the house. So yes, today we'll talk about it, and maybe some myths can be taken care of by this talk.
That's true. So, for our live audience, I'll reshare our topic today. Today, we will talk about ADHD, how a therapist, a doctor can support you as a parent, and how you can deal with your kids. So, right treatment always help ADHD improves. Parents and teachers can teach young kids to adolescent age get better to manage their behavior, their attention, their nutrition. And children should also get disciplined with warmth and purpose. Learn what discipline approaches are the best for child with ADHD. So let us discuss the best way to indulge in the conversation with our expert today, and let's give our topic in depth. So, Dr. Shweta, this question is for you. What exactly is ADHD? And as a parent, how should I handle it at home?
All right. So ADHD, as we spoke about, is a very common neurobehavioral condition seen these days, especially post-pandemic. Most people actually come with the diagnosis. They just Google the symptoms. They just feel their child is restless, is hyperactive, and they term their child as, yes, I think my child has ADHD. It's also very loosely used. Basically, ADHD is a neurobehavioral condition which hampers the child's cognition, affects the child's academics, affects the child's social performance, and independency is also hampered by this. It is also closely associated with a lot of other symptoms, so they can be overlapping symptoms. So we have to give the benefit of doubt to the child depending upon the age of the child. A much younger child, there is a certain acceptable level of hyperactivity, but beyond which, if it hampers situations like in your home situation, at school, if there are issues with the academics or with peer skills, or else when you take the child outside. So, in different scenarios, how the child is behaving, on the basis of that, you can say that the child has ADHD or not. And coming to your second question, how can we begin supporting parents with ADHD? Basically, more than training the child, it's more important to train the parents. We empower
Yes.
the child and we train the parents as to how to tackle a child. With a doctor, with a therapist, the child is there probably for like 1 to 2 hours in a day. The remaining 20 plus hours, the child is with the parent. So the parent has to teach the child how to become independent in each step of life, how to empower the school people, how to explain it to the school people that yes, the child can be challenging, but how these challenging challenges can be overcome by making the environment more friendly, more conducive for a child on the ADHD. So, this attention deficit hyperactivity disorder that we speak about presents differently for boys and for girls. Boys mainly are the hyperactive or the impulsive, on the go sorts, whereas girls are the more inattentive sorts. Of course, there can be a mix of both as well. So, these are broadly the three types of ADHD that we see.
Wow, this is amazing. Amazing explanation, doctor. So, Dr. Anjana Barot, this question is for you. Family support is again very important, as just Dr. Shweta told us. So, could you discuss a few points about that? How we can help in house as a parent?
So, first of all, as a parent, when I face the parents, when the child comes to me and the parent asks me, okay, how do we handle
Mhm.
this? You have done the therapy for an hour, but after that, the child is not going to do what you have done in this session whole day. So there are a few tips which I always tell them: structure their day. Very,
That is
very
most
important,
important.
most important, especially now in these Diwali holidays when the kids have got unstructured because the school is not there. So they do not have a disciplined schedule of waking up in the morning, going to the school, going out for play, or the rest of the classes. So obviously they have gone into a very different environment altogether. And I can see the children who are coming to me right now. Like yesterday, when I saw them, they were in a completely different mood than what it is otherwise.
Absolutely.
So the sessions go for a different. I mean, these sessions go for a toss. Let me tell you this because it's very different for us as a therapist.
Yeah.
So my main concern is to explain the parent to give them a structure. A structured environment includes food, sleep, play, study, everything. It does not mean that, oh, the child is supposed to do only the activities which are done during the therapy session. It does involve a lot of things, but at the same time, having the sleep which is required, having the food which is required, which obviously Dr. Shweta will be able to tell us more on that, which is very important, leaving kids to having everything which has got sugar on it, leads to so much of hyperactivity, which is a big concern these days, because kids just rampantly go and have so many eatables, like so many things, like right now sweets, Indian sweets, be it things with preservatives, many things. So that increases the hyperactivity and which leads to inattention, which is the major concern now leading to anything which has to do with a structure at home. The parent needs to be guided as to how can they lead to that kind of a structure.
For how to regulate their emotions are also important at the
Yes,
correct time, at the correct place, in correct
yes.
situation.
Yes, and depending on the age, because a
Age.
younger child may require it in a very different form than an older child. And more than that, the parent needs to regulate their emotions when they are talking to the children rather than just shouting and yelling at the child,
Yes, true
which
that.
is generally the case, which I have noticed in a couple of them. So
Yeah.
that leads to the child rebelling, having a violent behavior, and then it increases. It does not stay to ADHD, but it goes into a conduct disorder. So we need to tell the parents about all this, not about giving in to the child. That's not about giving in to the child. What they misunderstand is giving into the child. I always say, don't misinterpret this as giving into the child. It is about just honoring the needs of the child, which is very, very important. If we do not honor the needs of the child is going to behave, the child is behaving. So, giving them a structure, we have a simple, if anybody has attended a therapy session, we always say, please look at their body awareness, their sensory needs. What are their sensory needs? If we
And
have taken,
executive functioning as well, because at that time we also need to brush our executive skills whenever we are dealing with child.
yes, yes, which is very important. So, coming back to the sensory needs, if a therapist has given you the correct information about what sensory needs that particular child requires to work on, and the parent takes it over at home, the way it has been explained in these sessions, it gives the structure which is required for the day. That's the base of any child who comes for a therapy session for us. So if a child is inattentive but has auditory sensitivity, because of which he or she may just be closing the ears all the time, because they cannot tolerate, so we need to work on the auditory sensitivity. If the child is very touch sensitive, tactile sensitive, we need to work on that area. If there are areas where the child just refuses to take a bath, that is also a tactile sensitivity. We need to look at all those areas. There may be vestibular sensitivity. So we need to look at the sensory areas of the child in order to give them a structure. Hence, we say that a complete assessment is required from the doctor as well as the therapist before we give the necessary home program, so that a structured environment can be formed. When there are joint families, it's very difficult. Most of the families come up with this that, oh, you know what, we have grandparents at home. If we have a structure, the grandparents are going to give in and
More
give.
pampering.
Yes, all that happens with us, and we face that day in and out.
Yeah, so
As
whenever we are training our kids, basically we need to train ourselves, we need to regulate our emotions as an adult.
yes,
If
yes,
we are structured, we can of course give them a good structured life.
yes, yes.
That's
So I
great.
always say, first look at your emotional state, take charge of that, then you start regulating all your day schedule so that kids imitate the same, because kids
Yes.
usually imitate elders at home.
Yeah,
Yes.
true that. True that. It's a great point. Great pointers for every parent, I hope. So, Dr. Shweta, this question is for you. As
Yeah.
doctor told us about how to, like, you need to regulate yourself. So,
Mhm.
what type of strategies can we help use at home to help the child with ADHD?
I think the key word that Dr. Anjana used over here is structuring. Structuring is important for the parent. So what happens? A child, right from the word go, right from the when the child is say even 3 months or 6 months, the child mimics and imitates everything that the parent does. So if a parent's day is structured, the child is automatically going to get systematized in his or her daily routine as well. So a structure will help lay the groundwork for ADHD to regulate himself. So by giving a strict, say in the morning, 8 to 10 is breakfast time, 10 to 12 is a shower time. So this will help in the executive functionings going forward. Similarly, if the child is regulated, say even screen time, screens, how much ever you prohibit, Indian parents and actually all of us are going to give in to the screens, give in to the demands. Beyond a certain point, when grandparents get involved, if there are tantrums in situ, then it gets difficult to not given to the demand of the child. But if you tell your grandparents also that okay, yeah, he is permitted screens for half an hour, let's keep that between say 5 to 5:30 in the evening, right? So there also structure comes into play. Similarly, the environment, suppose you want the child to study, but outside the window is open. There are miscellaneous noises coming from outside. Crackers are happening in the hall. Somebody is watching TV. The elder sibling is playing in the hall. How do you expect the child to sit and study? You are shunning the child into the room. So there also you have to make sure that the environment is not so easily distracting for the child,
Yeah.
right? Build a structure, less distracting environment, make it more simpler for the child. You know the child has a problem with the executive functioning or the higher functionings. Make the tasks more simpler. Don't give a list of things.
Yeah.
Similarly, chart it out. If you say that, okay, today we have to finish 1 to 5, goal number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. After you finish 5 goals, you are going to get a reward. Children, even to this day, are very, very thrilled when they receive a star or a smiley sticker. Don't give in to their demands by saying, oh,
But
yes, you finished 5 tasks, here's a chocolate for you.
sometimes negative
The,
reinforcement are also required in ADHD.
yes, yes. So when we talk about the management, yes, positive and negative reinforcement is required. There's something called a response cost, right? So
Yes.
then you do not do this properly, your privileges are taken. I will
Yeah.
not hit you, I will
Accountability.
not shout at you, but your privileges are denied. Your TV privilege for the day is gone.
God.
So that really, unfortunately, hurts the child, and the child the next day will work towards getting that privilege back.
So we need to teach them accountability from very young age.
Yes.
So, Dr. Anjana Barot, this question is for you as you discussed about nutrition. So, what is the correct kind of a diet allowed and followed for ADHD child, or maybe for adult, as we adult are also fall under ADHD nowadays?
Yes, it does do. So, as I mentioned, a nutritionist or a developmental pediatrician would be the right person to answer this question. Yet, if you ask me, the major concern which I face on a day-to-day basis is the all the food which has got sugar in it. It includes our sweets, cakes, pastries, our cold drinks, aerated drinks, anything which has got preservatives in it. So if you just open a pack of chips, you are eating preservatives. So it is going to be there that anything which has got preservatives in it makes the brain go a little faster than otherwise. So I always recommend, please have a control on these diets. Of course, there are other diets as well. There are gluten-free diets and other diets, but they need to be followed only under doctor's advice or a correct dietitian, or after all the tests been done, is where you can follow all these diets like gluten free and all the other diets. I always recommend that you do all these only under the supervision and advice of a doctor,
Yeah.
of a pediatrician, and a nutritionist or a dietitian, because these needs to be really observed. It takes a lot of time. It's not a one day trick that okay, you start the diet today and tomorrow you start getting results. No, it's going to happen over a period of time. There is no instant Maggie here. So everything is going to take time, be it therapy, be it medicines, be it a diet. So a parent needs to be told about all the diets. I would say along with this, I always call the sensory integration, which we do, is also a sensory diet.
Yeah.
So that needs to go those in doses, kind of a thing.
Correct,
Yeah.
correct, correct. That's great. That's great. I hope, and let me take few questions from audience. So there is one question, and it's a very generic question. How to deal with two different age groups when we are having grandparents at home and we are having a child with ADHD? How to handle, because parents, especially mother, it's really a toss for her. So please advise, give us few tips how to handle in this situation.
Dr. Shweta, would you like to answer a little so that
Sure.
I can take over? Yeah.
Yes, so I agree. The mother, poor thing, gets torn between two generations because the mother thinks that, oh, I have to listen to my parents or my in-laws, and I cannot bear the sight of my child rolling on the floor. So the grandparent forces, no, give the child some TV, give the child a piece of chocolate. You know, they all bribe the child in that way, that I'll give you a candy, just sit quietly,
Hmm.
right? So what the
Bribing,
mother
or
can
we
do is,
can say bribing, or we can say कि हम लोग अपना पल्ला झाड़ देते हैं. Okay, do it whatever you
huh,
want.
do whatever. Yeah, in the end, the mother actually says, okay, do whatever you want. It's between the two of you now. I'm
Yeah,
not getting involved. So, what the mother can say is that, yes, I will, like Dr. Anjana said, regulation. We are not saying that completely prohibit sweets. That after all, it's a child that we are talking about.
And
Yes,
carbohydrates are
maybe
also required.
are also required. Maybe like a weekend binge, right? Everybody has learned this Sunday binge deal from the internet. So maybe on a Sunday, yes, you get a candy bar. So the child throughout the week will work well. That way, the grandparents are also happy that yes, मीठा देना है मुझे, मीठा देना है, ठीक है, Sunday के दिन मैं दे देती हूँ.
We also
Similarly, you
had
tell,
in our childhood like that, na? When we were
yes,
young, संडे के संडे ही आइसक्रीम मिलती थी.
संडे ही संडे. बट दीज डेज एवरीबडी, अभी बच्चे को इधर से उधर जाना है, बीच में एक कैंडी का दुकान है, मुझे एक टॉफी तो चाहिए.
चाहिए.
The moment the child smiles, you can see the cavities right from like 10 meters apart. So
Serious.
give a candy on the weekend, give half an hour of screen time. That way, both the parties are happy. The child is also happy, the grandparent is also happy. If you deny something completely, either parties will get upset. And then you will have to sit and justify. So make the best of both worlds. Give half an hour of screen time and a weekend binge. So during the weekend, the child will be happy. Weekend, everybody is in a party mode. Agar bacha thoda din, now what happens? The ill effects of eating sugars, like Dr. Anjana said, is that the child becomes more hyperactive, which we don't want. Basically, ADHD is your dopamine and serotonin and all going askew in the brain, right?
Yeah.
So this surges further when you give sugars. On the weekend, yes, you and I can also afford to stay up for slightly longer, unlike weekdays. So on the weekend, a bit of sugar is permissible. So that way, both the parties are pleased. Is my take on this. So I tell the parents also, I'm not saying no, curb it completely. But just think of it this way: if you eat an entire box of Kaju Katli, Diwali soch ke pura dabba kha liya, that night I bet you cannot sleep. So that is the same thing which is going to happen doubly with the child. So
Yes.
you will also have Kaju Katli in moderation. So give the child also Kaju Katli in moderation. Moderation is different for you as an adult and for me as a child. That is the only difference.
Yeah. So related to the same, there is another. Yeah.
I would
Please.
like to add a small thing here. Mothers usually go into over explanation of whatever they want to say to their parents or in-laws. Please don't feel guilty.
Of
Okay?
course.
Yeah,
Please say what is required firmly because this is required for your child. If you do not do this, you will be at the effect of taking care of the child.
Yes.
Okay, so be very firm and clear about it. You don't have to feel guilty about what you're saying to your parents or in-laws, because the moment you feel guilty, your child will manipulate you more on that part.
absolutely.
True.
Okay, they're learning a manipulation strategy. Oh, you know what, in front of my dadaji or my nanaji, I can ask for this because my mom is going to give it.
Yes. True that. True
Okay,
that.
that
So
needs to be clear on the mother's part as well.
yeah. So same question. Like as kids are away from their structured life since past almost 10 days, how
Mhm.
to take again on the place, like how to put them on the place or a track. Most difficult for every parent. Every household is actually having tug of war nowadays after Deepavali.
So I would like to add a little before I give it to Dr. Shweta on this. Uh, Before we go on to a structure, their school is going to start maybe by next week or so, and start it now. I always say before the school starts, you start regulating the child's structure now.
Yeah.
In the structure, this is very, very important, and I include all these do's and don'ts in my structure. Check your commands. What commands you are giving to the child? Are they very long commands, long instructions, or are they very short? If you're giving long commands, cut it off because that's
Mhm.
not going to work with an ADHD child. They need very short, crisp commands.
Yeah.
Do this much. Go to the washroom. Go take your bath. That's it. You can't give them explanations when you go there. Do this, do this, do this. No, no, no 10 instructions along with them. They will not follow even one, and they will not be able to do that. So that is one thing. So start doing these do's and don'ts, whatever the therapist is recommended in terms of, say, ball compression. For example, I'm just giving an example, ball pressure. There can be, okay, they need vestibular stimulation, or they need some kind of tactile stimulation, or they need to cut off the tactile stimulation. Start putting all of that back into the schedule if they were on a break. The moment you put that all back on a schedule, the kid will come back on track of the structure.
On time.
And yes, of course, we need to regulate our sleep pattern as well, which is the most important, which goes for a toss during holidays. So once the sleep pattern comes back, the child is well rested to do what is required to be focused on.
Yeah.
rather than having to not being able to focus on anything. So, we're meeting too many people, right? When we have holidays, we have festivals, we meet so many people, eat all kinds of food. They are very, everyone has a FOMO these days. I will miss out something. So the kids don't sleep. They feel, oh, if I sleep early, I may miss out on what the adults are doing. So they don't sleep and they want to prolong their sleep, and they will sleep by 12, 1, whatever the elders are doing. So, yes, that needs to be regulated by giving them a structure that, okay, they have to sleep at this time. That's important. They're required to have this kind of a sleep. Yeah,
That's true.
Dr.
That's
Shweta.
true.
Yeah, you can
So
take.
thank you, doctors. Both of you have given us an amazing insight on this. So on the whole, a takeaway message from you, both of you, are stop associating the child with ADHD. What I firmly believe, being a advisor, because when we separate ADHD from our child, it actually give us a peace of mind that okay, my child is normal, and it is required, because if we feel frustrated, we will not able to give anything good to our kids, and they will of course not behave well. And however, it is not at our kids, whatever they are doing, it is ADHD at the end of day, which is disturbing the influence the brain and influence the
Hmm.
behavior. When the
Yes.
hormones are disturbing, it is not like child is not able to do appropriately. So every parent should understand this, that we need to work on ourselves first rather than working directly on the child. And secondly, lower your expectations. As just Dr. Anjana said, that give a small task. Don't give a line 10 पेज का भाषण नहीं दो उनको. If you need to go to washroom, and break that task in a small things, so that child will able to achieve whatever they want, they can easily achieve. And we should not compare our child to a normal a kid who can achieve with ease according to their age. So lower expectation and understanding your child's ability will help you feel less frustrated as a parent, right, doctors?
Yes,
Yes.
absolutely.
Okay. So on this note, we are thanking you once again to become a part of our Baby Chakra team and become like experts. And
Thank
please
you.
follow us on Baby Chakra for more parenting videos, tips, and live sessions like this. And please share your reviews, whoever will watch this session later on, so that we can come up with more informative sessions with doctors. Thank you, doctor. Thank you, Dr. Nair. Thank you, Dr. Barot. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Take care. Bye. Good day.
Bye bye. Take care.